Well, we're probably going to be going back in because right here, the volts were good. Now they're not.
Alright, so day one of troubleshooting the electrical problem. After doing more research, listening to some of the comments, I do believe that it's a ground short somewhere. There's a wire that's probably either frayed, loose, something, and it's connecting to the ground, and that's what's causing this whole issue. So I'm going to try and go through all the wiring, see if I can find where this wire is. I'm going to start out with the solar panel charging system, because that's not actually like original to the aircraft. It's kind of like a little extra thing, and if I'm flying it all the time, I don't need it. Those wires, I say it's kind of old, they're wiggly, and that could be where the short's coming from. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that whole system, and then we'll see if that makes a difference. Huh. This way. Alright, so these are the wires inside the plane. That's what runs out to the battery, and this is where the solar charger plugs in. So we're going to remove all that. One, two. So in the engine bay, that should be these. Boom. There we go. Now I gotta trace those and figure out where they go. The black one is right here. It goes around to there. That'll be easy. And the red one goes to down there. So we're gonna go remove both of those. So here's the wire from inside the cockpit, and these are the wires that were inside the engine bay. Let's cut these out, see if that's what was causing our issue. Now I'm gonna go back in, trace the wires on the alternator controller, because I did notice that it said on the manual for that specific unit you should be removing the connector, cleaning off the pins, and going through and making sure that the connections are all nice and tight. And you should do that every annual, and I don't think it has. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now, see if that causes any change, makes it work a little bit better. So let's go ahead and dive into that. Well, I've done some looking around, so that seems to be okay. I know these are old, but it's an older airplane, but the wires all seem to be okay. I followed the wires from the alternator. It's just dirty. There's a little bit of oil and grease and stuff on them, but as far as I can tell, the wires themselves all look fine. So I guess what we can do is start it up and see what happens. And it is cold. It's kind of just barely starting to rain. And so we'll see what happens. There's a good one. And that's good. Clear prop. That's cool. So I'm going to close this. I'm gonna kill the battery again. I don't want to overprime. You know what happens when I do that? Well, that's not happening today. Well, we're not getting much work done on the plane today because it's obviously, raining, and I'm not going to take the engine cowl off and start dealing with electrical stuff in the rain. That's just asking for a problem. I want to check on the plane today because of the hail yesterday, and sometimes my plane likes to, drink water, so drying out everything on the inside if anything's wet. And actually, not too bad, which is surprising, but, I'm happy. I'll take it. Maybe tomorrow. So we've been running the engine multiple times trying to get the alternator working, and as a result, without it working and having multiple starts, it's gotten weaker and weaker and weaker. And the last time I was trying to start it to see if we resolved the issue, of course, the battery was dead. The prop was going really slow, and I said, I don't think it's got enough charge to keep going. So I pulled the battery, brought it home, threw it on a charger overnight, and it was down to like 60% or less that it was holding. And we charged it all the way up and got it up to 100%. Then it was pouring rain, it was hailing, and it was really cold for the next couple of days, so it wasn't going to work on the engine during that. And now today, we're back. I put the battery back in. We're going to try and start it up and hopefully see if we've resolved this issue. And it's super, super windy, so we're not going for a flight today. It's way too windy, and I'm getting blown around, and the plane's still tied down. But anyway, let's start it up, see if we can get it started, and then we'll see if we got the battery worked out. Clear, prop! Well, the alternator didn't work on that run, which is very unfortunate. I was going to pull the cowling off today and start using a voltmeter and actually going through and testing all the different wires and making sure I'm getting proper readings and resistance and all that for all the different components of the electrical system. But it's way too windy to remove the cowling today, so it's going to have to wait for another day. I think the only thing I can really do right now, I want to do the voltmeter on the alternator switch to see if that's good or bad. Pretty sure it's good. Well, we can test that real quick. Otherwise, beyond the day 5. All right, so we've been playing around with the voltmeter today. I did pull this guy out, and I looked at all the wires in there. I was using that to test in there and kind of see what was going on. And then also down on the alternator down there, was trying to test all the wire connections to the battery and the battery terminals, the field to ground, and all that, and everything was testing about where I thought it should. So hopefully pulling this out and this connection and trying to go through those wires and make sure that all those were good, maybe that's all it was. I'm really hoping it was. So I'm gonna put the top back on and we're gonna try it again, and hopefully it works this time. So I've put the engine cowling back on, tested everything that I know of how to test with the limited time I have in the afternoon today. The wind is starting to pick back up, so I'm kind of going to call it after this. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start up the engine, test it again, and see if changing that the ACU plug made a difference. And I'm fingers crossed that it did, but I'm only like 50% confident. But let's give it a shot. I wasn't supposed to fall. Alright, I'm gonna leave the avionics off because I don't need them. Yep. Nothing on the alternator. It's on, yeah, it's a drop on. See the drop, so turn those back off. Alternator off. Gotta check circuit breakers. They are all in. Alternator. Yep. Yeah. Still nothing. Still nothing. Well, after several days working at it, troubleshooting, and trying to just figure out what's going on, I'm actually worse off than I started because now it's not coming on at all, whereas before it would pop on and I could try and go fly, and now I got nothing. So I know when it's time to throw in the towel, take it to the mechanic, and have them take a look at it. And hopefully within this next week, they'll be able to get it in, figure out what's wrong, how we can get it fixed, and be back in the air. Till then, we'll catch you on the next one.
All right. Nope. Well, we're not getting much work done on the plane today.